Welcome to Success in Motion. Join us as we dive deep with top leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals, uncovering strategies to grow, scale, and succeed.
Welcome back to the Success in Motion podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, joined by John Tuberville. John is a really interesting guy. He has over 28 years with the same company, but he hasn't always been this special guy. He actually started out as a bartender and then was recruited by a buddy of his to come work for a little while. And then once he got in there, he couldn't figure out how to get out. He is now the senior IT director of the Oil States International LLC. John, we're excited to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. And I'm excited for our listeners out there to get to know you and to hear your story and see what nuggets of truth we have in this podcast. So let's give us a little snapshot of what's going on in your business. What do you do? What does the senior director of IT actually do? That kind of thing. What's going on?
About 6 or 7 months ago, I was the senior director before, but I switched from enterprise applications over to enterprise infrastructure. We take care of the servers, the networks, the data centers, putting computers on desks, a lot of the security, just everything that is information technology at a corporation. That's what we do. Oil States is it's a publicly traded company, been around since I think 2001. It's been around since the mid 50s or so, and then 1950s. But in its current state, it is a publicly traded company, so we have to adhere to a lot of the regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley compliance and HIPAA and all that kind of good stuff. It's a lot of work. It's still what's that word? It's exhilarating. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. A lot of great people I get to work with. A wonderful corporate culture. The business is doing great. Offshore, land-based drilling is a little slow right now. It's a little rough, but all good. It's a good place to work.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fantastic from the way you describe it. And so just a recap, Oil States International is an oil and gas company that drills for natural resources, correct?
We actually supply a lot of the high-tech equipment for the drilling. We had a drilling division, but we've recently divested them. We do a lot of offshore deepwater stuff. If you have something broken 10,000 feet under the sea, we're the people to call. We do downhole technology, whether it be fracturing or whether it be tool recovery. We also do field service, a lot of the aspects in supporting the production of oil, getting it out of the ground.
Awesome. Every good industry needs people like yourself and your company to support those industries to keep them going on. So there's a lot of competition in the oil and gas industry in general, and there's a lot of suppliers to them. What is it that sets your company apart from the competition?
Right now, I think it's our technology. One of the big things when it comes to get oil and gas exploration, and don't get me wrong, we do more than oil and gas. We do solar, we do wind, we do renewables, but a big part of it is still petroleum products. A big part of all that is safety. And anytime you can put a remote actuator on a gate valve or some other technology, whether it be remote viewing, whether it be pressure testing remotely, any time you can tie technology to that and keep your operators away from where the danger could be, you're doing a great thing. And the industry seems to pick up on that pretty quickly. Each year at the Offshore Technology Conference, at least the last couple of years, we've won one or multiple spotlight awards for some of our technology products. And it's just keeping people safe. That's a big, huge part of it. Everything is such high pressure. Everything's heavy. Everything's huge. And getting our guys home safe at night, that's number one.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. So you work in the IT space for this oil and gas energy company who supplies the resources for the oil and gas drilling companies and other businesses. In that IT department, what specifically does that do for the oil and gas industry?
We support the operations. We try to turn their strategies. We try to facilitate all of their strategies, whether it be through ERP applications, to do the business, to do the commerce. Another huge part of what our business is the engineering aspect. So we've got probably 10 different engineering departments globally, and they're doing 3D modeling, really high end stuff. It's our job to support that, look at the new and emerging technology, make sure implemented technology is safe. Some of the biggest breaches in the world have been through, I think it was an HVAC system. We have to watch everything from, door access systems to security systems, anything that touches our network. We got to know how it works. We got to make sure it's modernized, it's patchable and secure. That's so big right now.
Yeah, and it's impressive what people can get into your network through. I mean, even a simple baby monitor can give people access to your network. And so you definitely have to take IT serious, especially IT security. Um, and so you told me that you studied in college, directly out of college, you jumped into this from bartending into this world. Um, what was it? What did you actually study in college?
I got a bachelor's in radio, television, and film production. And I actually, before I even graduated college, I was working at 2 radio stations and a TV station, moderately full time. And then I had a lot of side jobs where I do voiceovers, commercials, promos, those kind of things. I mean, anything as small as, Friday night football. We'd be back there, reading all the local high school scores, on the air. Some neat stuff. It just didn't pay very well. So I got an
Yeah.
offer for some friends to get back in the bar business like I had done in college, and it paid a little better. Not too long after that, I ran into just a frequent customer. We talk technology all the time, and he asked me to come help out for 2 weeks, and that was in the '90s. So it's a good place to be.
So it's a long 2 weeks.
It is a long 2 weeks. I'm very happy to
So
be there, though.
So most people, when they're just starting out, they think that they go to college, they get a degree, and then they spend the rest of their life doing whatever they studied, right? That's not what you did at all, right? Radio and technology is completely different than IT services. I'm sure there's some technology piece in there that helps you, but how did you make that degree relevant in what you're doing today?
I think the degree, more than anything, having a degree helped. It kind of got me in the door for some job positions. But I think the big thing with the degree was the discipline to actually go through top to bottom. College is a lot of work.
Yeah,
Even if it's not Harvard, it's a lot. And the fact that you can do that from start to finish, it's a lot of self discipline. That's learning a lot of skills, both soft and hard skills. And the technology I did learn, I still do apply those items today, though a lot of the technology is leaps and bounds past what it was back then. It's been
yeah, I'm
very, very
sure.
useful.
Yeah. So if if you had somebody that was in college that was going down a path that they they're saying, "Hey, I don't want to do underwater basket weaving because that's what my degree is. Getting out of this because there's no money in it, and there's probably only one job in the world who's actually doing it." Um, would you recommend that they shift their degree to something else if they're mid-degree, or would you recommend that they finish and then just use the skills that they learned from learning how to learn at college to go and get that job?
That's very well put, learning how to learn. I like that. That's a hard question. We just had a daughter just this last semester graduate from U of H Law School, and she will absolutely be a lawyer. No problem. Uh, I think if you're unsure, if you can gravitate towards something that's pretty much globally recognized, useful, I would say general business. No, I'm not making that recommendation. Do what you love.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you'll end up doing what you love as a job later on. But general business, business administration, and of course, any of the IT skills are going to be used, whether you end up in IT or you don't end up in IT. But process mapping and understanding processes, finances, those things are so important, and they're relevant in any, well, except for the underwater basket weaving, but in pretty much any other industry. I mean, that's relevant stuff. But I think learning how to learn, I really thought that when I graduated college, I could pass any class at that entire university. And I know that's not true, but I had learned how to learn. And I was so good I had my process down for taking notes and soaking in what I needed and passing the test. And I retained it. Um, I probably should have got a master's back then, but you just do what you can do.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, so they say.
It is.
Um, so if somebody wanted to get into IT services, where would you recommend that they start with that?
A good place to start is a help desk, just general tech. A lot of kids these days, by the time they're 17, 18 years old, they've taken computers apart. They know the operating systems, they know networking, they know wireless. Um, well, that's kind of like our Tech One tech support. I'm sorry, Level One tech support. Uh, but when you get into the corporate world, your knowledge is just going to go, leaps and bounds. There's just so much because that's what you're doing every day. And that's where a lot of people have come up from. That's where I came up from. I was just in for just general tech support, ended up moving into a network administration position and then to a wide area network position, working with routers and servers. And I think I became a director in 2008 for applications. I was been either a director or a senior director ever since. There's definitely room for upward mobility.
Perfect. So for that level one tech support, you had a degree, even though it wasn't directly in IT. You had a degree. How important is it to have a degree to get into the IT field?
If you asked me this back when I got in, I'd say it was important because it was just a prerequisite on a lot of the job descriptions. And I think that maybe was to weed people out, to get those people that knew how to learn or people that had that discipline. Nowadays, I don't know. I'd almost rather somebody come in with a high school diploma and go get a micro certified systems engineer, which is a lot of work, or maybe a CCNA, the Cisco certified network administrator, or there's just a plethora. There's auditing certifications. There's so much out there though that you can skip all the everything else. Granted, the advanced English and math and all those things, they're useful. I use those, but I think you could probably get into something just a little bit more technically focused. Even some of the more uh, uh, traditional trades, plumbing, electrical, those guys and ladies, excuse me. I mean, they really do very well for themselves. But with regard to IT, if you can just get some general IT skills, there's people out there hiring. I think there's more demand for the hire than there are available candidates. That's at least my experience here in South Texas.
Yeah, there's definitely a disconnect between the the workforce and the employers. Um, and so when people are looking for jobs, I've talked to a lot of people. People are saying, "Hey, there aren't any jobs out there to be had." And I talk to a lot of employers, and they say, "Hey, there's nobody to take these jobs." Do you have any insight on what that disconnect is?
I don't know if I can help you there. A lot of the positions I'm hiring for these days are more specialized. Like I'll need a Microsoft SQL Server database administrator, or I'll need I don't know, a business systems analyst that has specialization in a specific ERP. Um, I really don't know. And a lot of our tech support we seem to promote from within the company. So we've got some level one and two guys that are very good at what they do, and they've been with a company for 17 years. You'd think they'd be higher level. Well, they've only been in IT for 2 or 3 years. But it's wonderful because they understand the business, which is always useful. Sorry,
Yeah.
I guess that's not the best answer. You want to hear that I'm hiring from the outside world. Not a lot of that right now.
Well, that would create more of those entry level positions, the level one tech. If you're pulling them out of that and putting them into something else, it would definitely give them those opportunities. I personally feel like the disconnect is, well, there's a couple of things. One, the way we hire is through LinkedIn, through Indeed. We have so many options. It's not like people are coming, walking to you and hand you in a resume and impressing you, giving that first impression. But now you have at the click of a button access to hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes. And so, as a business leader, you have to create a way to filter through all of that and figure out which one is going to actually be the right hire. And so sometimes we put in search criteria and we disqualify people who might be a good candidate, but they get disqualified because of they didn't put a keyword in their resume or they put the wrong keyword in their resume. And so there's a lot of people who do that. So maybe some coaching on how to get their resume to be tailored for the role that they're going into could help people out. And
So
then also like I understand the person who is trying to filter these things out, right? We're all busy. We all have so many hours in the day, and if I receive 1,000 resumes for one job posting, like I don't have time to go through 1,000 resumes.
mhm,
And so I think that's one of the disconnects is in trying to save our time. Well, in the world of the internet, we found more access to people. And then in trying to dumb that down, not dumb it down, but shrink it, get it to a manageable amount, we disqualify a bunch of those right off the bat that could potentially be good candidates. And then we're left with a smaller candidate pool. So you could have that person who would be a great fit in real life, but on paper they don't look as well. And so that's a struggle. And then I also think that COVID has really had an effect on people.
oh yeah,
Um, and there are still people who want to work, but they all have jobs. And when I say want to work, there's a difference in wanting to get a paycheck and wanting to work.
yeah.
Everybody wants a paycheck, but does everybody today want to do what it takes to get that paycheck? And I don't think that is true. I think through COVID, we've gotten, for lack of better terms, soft. We don't
Yeah.
want to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week to bring in that paycheck. So that's my 2 cents on that. So let's jump back to you. What's been one of your biggest challenges that you've had to come over in your career?
I guess in recent memory, just like you said, COVID, that shift from I think it was like March 15th of 2020, March 12th of 2020. It was basically we sent an entire workforce home except for people that we had to have in the shops and the manufacturing facilities. So we basically did, I don't know, 2 years of transformation in about a month. We sent every laptop that we could get a hard drive to spin on and get it to boot up. We'd get it patched and we'd get it to accounts payable people, accounts receivable people, all these people that keep the business going. That was a big transformation, and it really was. A lot of people did not adapt well to the working from home. Luckily, we had just switched to a technology. This is more than you want to hear, but Microsoft always on VPN. So if I open up my laptop, whether I'm in, uh, I don't know, Thailand, or if I'm in, Denmark, or if I'm in Dallas, I open my laptop, I log into the network, and I have a VPN back to our data center. That made a huge difference. I mean, because you've got all of your apps, your map drives, everything's there. We can replicate that part. But a lot of people didn't have the discipline to do the work from home. Now, a large part of the people did, and they're very good at it. And I've
Yeah,
actually noticed, and I've got several that agree with me, we actually put in more working productive hours now and since COVID than we did before COVID. There's no commute, there's no putting on a tie and all that kind of good stuff. It's I get up in the morning, I'm ready to go. It's a
yeah.
different world. That was a challenge.
You also cut out a lot of the standing around the water cooler shooting the breeze time. And so if you're sitting at your desk, you're not going to sit there and not do anything. So the idea is you would be more productive. It's the real challenge is getting people to sit at the desk to do the things that they need to do when there's nobody watching them. Not everybody has the discipline to clock in at the same time every day and put in hard work and clock out at the same time. Many people do, don't get me wrong. That's something that we have to culture within ourselves, is that discipline to do the work that's before you. Um,
That
so
that's also could be a bad thing though. Not having that water cooler time. There's that camaraderie. There's those
sure.
relationships. People look forward to going to work. Some people do. Um, Granted, Microsoft Teams and Zoom and all these technologies have made it's yes, I'm going to say it. It's really not that much different than before. But I talk to my people more than I did before COVID. I mean, most definitely I do. There's the communication is wonderful. We don't always turn our cameras on, but I've got group chats with my managers over here, and it works. It works very well.
Yeah, that's good. I know a lot of companies are pushing to get the workforce back in office.
Yeah.
Have you seen that in your company, or are they enjoying the remote work?
For instance, the IT department, we're pretty much all remote, with the exception of some techs that we do have that actually need to touch machines and servers. Uh, we actually are getting, our plan is to get rid of one of the floors of one of our buildings that we're leasing. So no, the company's pretty happy about the decreased rent. We get decreased real estate. And a lot of the people, there is a lot of freedom. I've got my dogs are here with me, and my wife's in the next room in her office. Uh, there's a huge benefit to it, but it's different, and you have to have the discipline, and you can't slack off. I mean, if you can slack off for a very short time, but it catches up with you really quick.
Yeah, eventually your results start showing if you're
Okay.
working or not. I agree with you. There's a lot of benefit to remote work, but there's also a lot of downside. As a company owner, you might feel like you're disconnected from your team, but I think that can be overcome with what you were saying with the communication, having the teams meeting to have different Zoom calls or whatever it is that you need. But what I've found within my organizations is it really requires me to be a diligent note taker in what I'm doing. Because
Mhm.
if I'm making a phone call and I don't put notes in my system, like there's no accountability there. Nobody knows that I do it, and tomorrow I might not even remember that I've done it,
Yep.
right? And so you get to the end of the week, and you can, if you haven't put those notes in, you look and you're like, well, Michael, what have you done all week? Well, nobody was sitting there in the next cubicle to say, yeah, he was working. Um, but if I actually take notes on what I'm doing and put it in the system, although it's tedious, uh, it makes me more productive because I'm now, the next time I have to deal with that situation, that client, whatever it was, I can just go back to those notes and I'm not having to rely on my memory as much to keep up with it. And then
Yeah.
also the people that I'm working with, they don't have to call me to ask the question. They can just pull up the file that I'm working on and say, oh, this is last time I talked to him. This is what they talked about. This is where we're at. And then they can move on. And so it makes our organization as a whole better, more efficient. Although I'm tediously typing in those notes, in the big scheme of things, we're better off. Um, so I personally think remote work is awesome, and I understand that there is a need to be in the office, but where possible, and when you have disciplined people, the right people on the bus, so to speak, you don't have to worry about people because they want to do the work, they want to be there. Um, so it, the next topic that I'd like to talk about is one of my favorites. It's a buzzword. I have an argument for both sides of the coin on this, and I want to get your take on it. Many people are juggling work-life balance. To you, is that necessary? Is that a thing? And if so, how do you handle it?
Work-life balance. All right, COVID has done something pretty interesting for us. Uh, we bought a little piece of property about the same time COVID happened, right on the coast, and we don't have a home built, but we have a travel trailer and a motor home that we can park down there. We probably spend 95% of our time working out of that location, 800 feet from the Gulf of Mexico. There's no way we could do this if we were commuting every day. So I think work-life balance, we've got the good end of the stick with our situation. Um, I don't think I think work-life balance is a whole lot easier to manage when you don't have to go to an office. Um, yeah, I think that's a definite piece right there. Our work-life balance is pretty wonderful. I've got an employee that is going to Port Aransas by Padre Island, Texas, and he'll work at the beach for a week. He'll go to a music festival or something, maybe take 2 days off, but work remotely for 3 days. It's interesting. This was never possible before, but it absolutely is now.
Yeah, I know for a fact that working remotely gives you an opportunity to have a better work-life balance because we're not no longer spending 30 minutes to 2 hours in the car every day trying
Yeah,
to get to and from work. Um, and so it gives you that time that you can refocus on something else that can be more productive. Either take that time and put it into work to make that better, or take it and put it into your personal life. Use that time to go to the gym for an hour.
yeah.
And or go be with friends or whatever you need to do. So I definitely think there is something to work-life balance. Um, but I also believe that there is a time and a place, a season for everything. And so there's times where you have a project coming up, I'm sure in the IT world, that you push and you work a little bit more. And then you have other times that are just normal work weeks. And so you don't have to push as hard. And so to me, work-life balance is more of being present wherever you are. When you're at
Yeah,
work, be at work. When you're at home, be at home. When
well
you're out with
put.
your friends, be with your friends. And don't let the challenges that the other parts of your life are having ruin what you're doing in the moment. Um, I feel like we spend too much time worrying about the next 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes and not enough time focused on right now. Um, well, it sounds like things are going well for you and your business. The oil and gas industry is keeping you busy. The IT space is keeping you occupied. Um, so a lot of people are looking towards their future and how they can create passive income to enhance or even replace their current income. What are your thoughts about passive income?
Yeah, passive income is the way to, if you want to retire early or be just financially sound, it's such a winner. There's strategies out there where people are taking and writing, whether they're just writing freehand or they're using some AI to assist them with their writing, whether it be maybe something they're good at, like IT. Write a book about how to structure an IT department in blah 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 scenario. But you can put these ebooks pretty easily on Amazon and sell them. And you make it once and it sells. It sells itself or it doesn't. There's people that are doing graphic design stores like t-shirt shops, and you just come up with a bunch of good ideas, get them up on Amazon or whatever. There's all kinds of platforms for it. Um, the most universal one I think is real estate. It's those 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage houses. Buy one a year for this many years, and then by 10 years later, you're making this much a month in passive income and you can quit your job. No, I think it's wonderful, but it's finding that one that you're going to do, that you have the ability to do, and you got to do it better than you got to do it. And it takes some effort. And a lot of people don't have the discipline for that. I've got a little side hustle and it's not making me rich, but it's fun. I call it my hobby and it pays a couple bucks. Um, I think it's a good thing to have. And I think everybody has skills, whether it's writing music, whether it's writing websites, whether it's graphic design, whether it's logo design. I mean, there's so many things out there, a lot of them on the creative side of the spectrum that can really make you a lot of money. And you make it once, step back, and it just generates the income.
Yeah, that's well put. The key is finding that thing that you can do once, and then it keeps paying you over and over again. A lot of people look at real estate, which I love real estate. Don't get me wrong. They look at real estate, like you said, owning a house, and being a landlord as being passive. Uh, I think that is a way to make money, and it's a great way to make money for a lot of people. But getting into that it's not passive. That is buying you a job. Like you can even get a management company to do that, but you still have to manage the manager.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, looking at passive income, which I think everybody should have at least one form of passive income. I've heard as many of having 7 sources of income, so that if one falls off, you have the rest of them to bolster you up. Um, but I think it really takes you of looking at what do I want to put into it and what do I want to get out of it. And
Yeah.
if you're willing to put into it what needs to happen to get what you want to get out of it, then go for it. Just understand that you have to put something into it to get something out. Now, that's something that you're putting into it can be time, right? Like the landlord thing. It can
Mm-hmm.
be money, like buying a piece of real estate. Uh, you can do that with other people's money as well and focus more on the time to get
Yep.
there. But it still takes money to do that. And or you have to bring the idea to a team who can then go act on that idea. And so you have to bring something to the table. You have to put effort and energy into it. But once you get that on the table, you can then turn that into an income. And I think passive income is key to getting ahead. And it comes in all shapes and sizes. There's no one right way to do passive income. Um, as much
Even
as it's,
podcasts.
yeah, there's an opportunity with those as well. And they're fun. You get to meet
Yes, they are.
a lot of fun people. And so as we are wrapping up our interview, John, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
Uh, I'm going to get on one specific one that's a little bit more personal than it is IT. Uh, when I hire a little different than most. I really don't care if you have a college degree unless the role specifically requires it. Um, yes, I want people that have had education, uh, but the big thing for me is communication. Good communication skills are so rare these days. There's the three forms. There's the verbal and in person. And then there's the written. But then there's that face to face where you've actually got the body language and all of the cues are on at the same time. The most, I guess, expressive version of communication. Um, and I don't need an Emmy winning artist or anything like that, but I need good communicators. Uh, we don't have a whole lot of them, but the ones we have are wonderful, and I try to leverage them the most I can. But as long as someone has a good attitude, they can communicate, and we can pretty much train the rest of it. But I got so interested in that, and some of the periphery, like brevity. Brevity. In fact, I wrote a book called. I'm still working on the title for sure. I just can't get it out of the editing phase, but it's basically the power of brevity. And when I started looking into brevity, I found, I wanted to learn some of the science behind it. So I looked into, I found things like the cognitive load theory, the dual coding premise, Miller's law, uh, and the thing that kept coming to the top were it was basically chunked learning, where the thing is Miller's law. Humans can remember about 7 things at a time, give or take 2. So somewhere between 5 and 9 items. So if I make a PowerPoint, I, that's how big it's going to be because nobody's going to remember what's on slide number 43. If I have a talk with my team and I'm going to talk about a project, I'll try to chunk that project down into 3 or 4 important parts, and that's what I'll present. And we'll get into the minutia of it and the details later. But there's a lot of science behind it, and it goes back a long way. Microsoft did a study, I think it was in 2012, and then I think a follow-up study in like 2020. I know I'm getting the what do you call it, the years wrong, but they did it, and then they performed it again. But it was talking about the average human's attention span being right at about 12 seconds. And when they followed it up years later, they said the average attention span is down to 8 seconds. And I think that's just because we're so used to cell phones, and I can look at an email and get the entire story 5 times faster than I can if you tell it to me. I think we're all in for that rapid cognition, that rapid intake. Just fascinating, but that's something I'm going to try to get some time on.
Yeah, I think brevity is an under talked about topic. Um, so an example of this in my life is when I first started, I'm very analytical. And I like to know everything that there is. I like to deep dive into a topic. I like to understand it inside out, top to back. But I found that when I sell things, most people don't care. So me as someone who is selling a product, I need to know everything about the product so that when I find the things that my customer does care about, I have that answer. But I don't need to share everything about this product with that individual. What I need to be good at is pulling out what they want so that I can give them what they need. And so if I found in my early career of sales that I would just do the machine gun method, and I'd say, hey, look at this mop bucket. It has this feature and that feature and this other feature, and it can do this and it can do that. And all they really wanted to know is it going to keep the clean water separate from the dirty water? And if I had just said, hey, check out this mop bucket, it has 2 compartments in it. Dirty water goes in the back, clean water goes in the front. So you're always washing with the clean floor. That's all they care about. They don't need to know how durable the casters are. They don't care about the ringer and how durable that is, right? They just want to know is it going to give me clean floors?
Yeah.
And so when I learned to be more brief in my conversations, more exact, I saw a complete change in the way that people reacted to me. People actually, their eyes stopped glazing over.
Yes, I know that one.
They stopped giving me the fake head nod, and they started actually having conversations. Because once I found what they wanted, I shared that with them. Now they want to know those other things about it. But until I found that one key point that they're interested in, they don't care about all of the other features. So challenging yourself to be concise and not just throwing all the information out there is a really good thing to do. I think it's cool that you're focused on that and trying to get better at it, and hopefully help those around you get better at it as well. Well, John, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for sharing some tips and insights with us. If people would like to get in touch with you, what should they do?
Find me on LinkedIn, John Tuberville. It's got the Houston skyline behind me. Can't miss it. Reach
Perfect.
out.
Well, there you have it from John. Go to his LinkedIn page and check him out. Connect with him. Maybe you'll be able to get one of those entry-level jobs if that's what you're looking for. Now everybody's going to come hit you up for one of those. You're welcome, by the way. But yeah, guys, this has been another episode of the Success in Motion podcast. We're excited to have had John here with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning into Success in Motion. Want to share your story? Visit successinmotionpodcast.com/guest to apply and be featured on the show.